This is the year that Fink beats the stomach.
Welcome to Fink Beats the Stomach, our bi-weekly take of the world of competitive eating. I am Mike Sullivan.
And I'm James Splendori.
Episode number 88. 2 8s.
You got nothing.
I mean, we haven't had anything for many, many episodes.
You know what? I feel like there had to be something there. Anyway, missed it. Missed the opportunity. Brain's a little scrambled.
But, James, we have a great opportunity on this episode
this is why
of
you're
Fink
a pro.
Beats the Stomach.
This is why you're a pro.
We had quite the evening this past weekend.
Oh, do we have a ball?
Do we have a
not an
ball?
official. We had a ball. But,
Oh! I'm sorry.
I mean-
I'm like so out of practice that I.
but that was as close to a ball as I feel like we've had.
We did have a ball at. We'll get into it before.
Tune in at the end of the show.
And actually, because I want to. Hopefully, this is the first time, and now that I'm saying it, we're gonna start splitting the episodes up on
nice.
YouTube.
Never heard of it.
iTunes listeners, the audio listeners, will still get episode number 88 in its entirety.
That same spirit.
But the YouTube viewers out there
Yeah.
will get our segments broken up. So in case there's something in particular that you want to go right to or just check out, and hopefully it helps us get the word about the Fink Beats the Stomach YouTube channel.
I love it.
But so we'll get to that as a little bit of a tease. If you're watching on YouTube for part 1, we'll get to that in part 2.
Yep.
We have a very exciting contest to talk about first up.
Indeed.
But before we get into that, how are you doing, James?
Mike.
Don't want to skip the pleasantries.
I mean, the pleasantries are really why this whole podcast exists. One, I need everyone to know we have a screen now in front of us.
Right. So
which is
hopefully
why-
to help us watch ourselves.
Which is never a good idea. But I'm going to do a lot more like kind of checking things out in front of me. So that's a little adjustment period.
Absolutely.
But I'm feeling all right, man. What's going on with you?
I'm feeling good too. I'm not just saying this because we're on the air here, but I'm particularly excited about the world of competitive eating. Not just because of the amazing event that we went to, again, tease for part 2, but also, we probably said this in our last episode, and we say this all the time. We are absolutely in the thick of the competitive eating season.
Yeah, it's getting there.
And it's to the point where there's just too many contests to talk about.
Yeah, no, 100%. And this is not a bad problem to have, but it's certainly becoming a thing.
And it's a great opportunity for you, the viewers, the listeners, the fans of Fink Beats the Stomach, the hashtag FinkFanForum to get involved. It is blowing up slowly but surely.
That term is relative.
Little pop.
It's like the little poppers that you get, like when people would set up fireworks, and I was scared of fireworks as a kid. Actually, still not a huge fan.
Really?
Kate, is that off-brand for me to be scared of fireworks? No.
You don't like hot dogs. You're scared of fireworks.
Yeah, I know.
Yet you come to Coney Island July 4th.
It's an amazing thing that I'm even alive on the 4th of July. I'm essentially like everyone's dog. Like, I don't want anything to do with 4th of July. But so that was like a nice little thing for me that I'd be able to like the little pop, 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 pop. And that's what Fink Fan Forum is. It's just one of those little.
But it's the popper, but your neighbor's doing it, so it hasn't gotten loud enough.
Oh,
we're still working our way up.
I was actually gonna say it's like one of the poppers, like when they don't really go off like you want them to.
That's the Fink Fan Forum.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
But it's getting better, and hopefully stuff like this will help it get better.
100%.
So we ran a very quick, I believe, 12-hour Twitter poll on what contest that we should go in depth on. What didn't win was the 2 Nathan's qualifiers that happened.
The Road to Coney Yabadoo.
Yabadoo, still working on the sound clip.
Yeah,
eventually.
I'm really settling into just saying Yabadoo. Yabadoo.
We've been doing it for so many years. It's nice to switch it up.
And also, I want to start working it into like work stuff, like just regular life.
Like Yabadoo.
Like, hey man, can I get a Tito's and soda? Yabadoo, man. I want to start doing that. See what happens.
I like that.
We're gonna do it together.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, it'll only be for us because everyone else will be like, "What?"
I just want to circle back on this. I didn't hear back from your email per Friday. If you could that would be great. Yabadoo, James.
Yabadoo, regards. James.
Yabadoo, yours truly, James, HRNA Advisors.
So we are not going to go in depth on those contests, but do want to throw out a congratulations to Pablo Martinez and Mary Bowers, who won in Miami.
Now Pablo on vacation, right, with the wife?
On vacation, his Florida vacation.
But doing work.
So him and Mary will be returning. And in Vegas, we saw a repeat of 2018 when yours truly was emceeing.
Yep.
Max Suzuki will be making his second appearance, and Michelle Lesko will actually be making her 9th appearance at Coney Island on July 4th. So congrats to those 4. I'm sure at some point we'll be doing some sort of roundtable, bigger discussion about the road to Coney.
Yeah, I mean, that actually, because there's still a nice chill in the air here in New York City, it feels like it's 1.5 million years from now. But obviously a bunch of Fink fan favorites there.
Absolutely. But what you, the Fink Fan Forum, wanted us to talk about was the National Sweet Corn Eating Contest.
Now, Mike, just quick question. Did you fix the Fink Fan Forum like you do the Finkies per...
Anonymous e-feeds people.
Yeah.
No, the good thing about the Twitter polls is it's public for everyone to see.
Unlike the way that we fix all of
everything else that we do on the show, honestly.
And the money that we accept from the Shays for doing the show.
Correct. They do pay us on a regular basis in order to do Fink Beats the Stomach. That's why our production value is so high.
But I put it on the tee, and you really knocked it out. I really appreciate that.
And I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but I have some sort of weird thing going on.
It sounds like an angel. It sounds fantastic.
But the National Sweet Corn Eating Championship happens for the past 19 years on record, West Palm Beach, Florida. It's a historical contest and often controversial contest.
Which is where they get the cash.
So, and that's what some people have said. We actually have a sound clip we'll play in a second, but there's a lot of cash to go around. I believe over $6,000 of a prize purse. And I guess just to,
a couple heavy hitters here, and I'm not
absolutely.
talking network.
And this is what, James, I personally love about the contest, is that the normal, the usual top 3, 4 of competitive eating often don't go to this contest.
Right.
Of course, Carmen Sincati, the past 2 years did win it, but
now Carmen Sincati, different from Carmen Chincati.
And different from Carmine Sincati.
Oh, I forgot.
We'll talk about
now.
Well.
Yeah, now it's like a Wario Mario.
Correct.
Luigi, like that.
Waluigi.
Now it's like 3 of them.
But I love that, there's been a lot of different winners over the years.
Yeah.
Even in our time as competitive eating journalists, we've seen Yasser Salem, we've seen Eric the Red Denmark, again, we've seen Carmen.
Right, and they're not
Crazy Legs.
And they're not like shitty. It's not just like, oh, no one came, so a new person
Correct.
won. It's always like the next tier down came and won. And
Correct.
That's cool.
And usually people are battling it out.
Right.
So this year, for the first time, Gideon the Truth OG.
How'd he get there, He
He
probably drove.
Yeah, I mean, West Palm Beach to wherever he is in Georgia. It's probably, I don't know. Georgia's big, Florida's big. So
that's true.
And West Palm Beach is, I feel like, about like halfway down the state. So it would probably take you a while to. But I mean, I feel like he's driven crazier amounts. But
right.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll find out.
He made it there.
He made it there.
On time, as far as we know. And he won the contest.
Amazing.
57 ears of corn in 12 minutes. Second place, Darren Breeden with 43.
Which a big margin there from 1 to 2. And
absolutely.
Breeden's nothing to sneeze at.
And Nick Wary with 35.5.
My man.
We also saw Darian Thomas, who I would love to talk about in a second. 34.25. Juan Niave with 32. Crazy Legs with 29.25. Badlands with 23.5. And to round it out, Tracy Dickerson with 16. And Jason Rupert with 14. So a big range from 57 to 14. 7
Do we have like a
eaters.
reversal? Why 9?
Why 9? Oh, why 9 contestants?
Yeah.
As far as I know, that was the full field that was there. Usually, I can say from experience, MLE contests tend to fluctuate from the 8 to 12 range.
So it could be anything.
I feel like they try to get 12 people at the table.
Right.
Won't want it to fluctuate lower than 8 people at the table. Anything less than 8, you kind of like don't really you start to not have a contest if you're paying out 5 spots.
Right.
But so 9 to 11 is usually the normal sweet spot.
An odd number felt weird to me. An odd number felt odd.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone dropped out.
Right.
Sometimes you have a local who says they're going to go and they don't show up.
You talking about a local?
A West Palm Beach local.
Yeah, what is a West Palm Beach local like?
Nana, I don't.
That's what I'm like. But I mean, one that would be in this contest. That's what I'm trying
Nana
to
would
figure out.
not be in this contest.
Right, because obviously a West Palm Beach local is just a delight. But one that would be in this contest is a weird person who I want to meet. But enough of me sort of throwing you on tangents. Gideon the Truth OG. The truth.
Adding another championship to his belt.
And he has a lot of alternative wins.
Speak more on
like
that.
Kale, champ.
Yes.
Corn, champ. A bunch of other ones. I'm sure I don't really know what the foods are, but I feel like he'll win those.
Yeah, kale, green chili stew.
That's one. I was like, what?
Ribs. He won kale twice. Canteen sandwiches last year.
As you know, I still don't know what they are.
I gotta work on that. But no, Gideon is this champion of the alternative foods. I like how you put that. And actually, I reached out to a few people for comment on the contest. And,
love this bit.
Darren Breeden said, he thinks a ton of folks underestimate Gideon's ability and don't realize that he's a phenomenal technique eater.
There we go.
He's the master of foods like wings, kale, corn, etc.
Yeah, Darren and I are on the same page here.
Absolutely. And in order for me, being Darren, to be able to beat him, you're like him at technique contests, he has to practice his butt off, which he didn't do at the contest.
Now, where did you source that quote from? Did you get that directly?
I got that direct.
Yeah, that's actually journalism. I know that's a bit.
I'm trying.
That's actually journalism, and we thank you, everyone, all the fans. Thank you. Cop out from him saying he's not training, or just legitimate answer?
A legitimate answer, in my opinion. From what I know from what I see from Darren on social media, I feel like he is practicing. He's staying in competitive eating shape.
Right.
Likely. I don't know this for a fact. I didn't ask him that. But I really agree with what he's saying, where corn is such a specific technique.
Sure. And there are techniques of which Crazy Legs will regale you with details.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we went through them the other day when we were talking.
And it's funny you say that because I also reached out to Crazy Legs.
I knew you. Wow. I didn't know that was going to happen.
So I reached out to Crazy Legs for a written comment. He gave me an audio comment.
He doesn't want you to take him out of...
Correct. He wants to make sure the context is there. And as a little bit of setup to this, so Crazy Legs, obviously a veteran of Major League Eating. He's been eating at this contest. He's won it, I believe, 4 times. So he knows this contest very well, and this contest is mired with controversy. And we'll find out why. It does equal cash.
Even Kate knows.
Let's go to Crazy Legs. Oops.
And now to Crazy Legs.
Okay, here we go. Technical difficulty.
Third time's going to be the charm. So, Crazy Legs Conti actually is also another
Fink
person.
beats the stomach. Sweet corn fiesta. Yesteryear Village edition. Crazy Legs Conti. I had thought about just no commenting, but it's galling me as the 4-time corn on the cob eating champion. I'd hope to be 5-time. I will say for the record, it's an amazing event. It's a huge amount of prize money on the line. Wonderful fair that they keep pushing the agricultural and livestock interactive exhibits, and they're all great people down there. 20-year contest coming up next year in 2020, so it's a long-standing contest along with Nathan's. Judging is subjective, but the one thing you have to have is you have to have one judge do everybody. It was a father-son combo. I believe they're friends of Sam Barkley. They did an amazing job. They did not count my corn, and so that is my issue. I'd gone in always using the manual typewriter. I hadn't gone the last 2 years because I disagree with the Florida rake or the Florida stripper or the rake, either up or down with the corn. I think it sprays corn everywhere. The winner, Gideon, clearly won, although he had an enormous amount of corn on the ground. I hope they deducted for that. It was about 5 years. But, that's the Florida rake, the stripper. My goal was 48 years before deductions. I hit 50. And an individual who was not the father-son combo didn't count mine because there was some pressure to get the results out. So I was subjected to someone just judging mine, and they took 20 years away. Gideon, the winner, got 8 years deducted. He had started with 67, I think, and got, or 69 maybe, and got dropped down to 57, whatever his final total was. 20 years is as if each year of my corn was 60% eaten, 40% left uneaten. In hot dog numbers, you would have eaten 20 and been deducted 8 down to 12. Can you imagine what 20 hot dogs minus 8? So it's impossible. I've done corn long enough to know that mine was not a 20 deduction. Maybe 75% of each year was eaten. In that case, I would be at 8 years or 7.5. Putting me just behind second place, probably in third place. Might have even been less than that. Could have been more. I finished in 6th. I mentioned this after the fact. You just have to have the same person or people judge every single competitor, no matter how long it takes. It's the only fair way to do it. Congrats to Gideon winning his first title. Will I return? I know if I do, the manual typewriter is dead. The Florida stripper, the rake, seems to be the only way to go. And I don't think much corn gets in your mouth. I think it gets in trays and people's clothes and the ground. So I don't know. I don't know what the future of my corn eating will be other than casual dining with a large tomahawk steak. But keep up the good word, Finks. I just feel like I had to get that off my stomach, so to speak. And that's corn on the cob in my opinion. Stay warm. Eat all you can.
So thank you, Crazy Legs, for that insight.
That was like a nice little fireside chat.
Well, he did some math too,
which is always difficult for me.
And it's hard. It's hard to follow, unless you're a professional like Crazy Legs Conti. But
he is a mathematician.
He is known to be a mathematician, but his real point is, it's a really tough contest due to how they judge the debris.
Right.
And, of course, the best way to judge the debris is to have the same person do it.
Yep.
So, at a minimum, he feels, it's the wrong way, a little unfair to go about it, to not have the same person.
Yep.
And I agree, because as an MC, as someone who has to judge a lot of times at the contest, the sponsor can elect to have their own people count, but usually it's the MC. It's really tough. And when there have been some tight calls for me myself on foods that are a lot easier to do debris on than corn. But I always say, and what I, reiterate to the eaters and what I try to hold myself to is, at least with me doing it myself, and I say, this amount is in my mind what I feel half would be versus a quarter or whatever. Sure. As long as it's consistent, the number maybe could be debated. But the placing and the money is the same. And that's what's the most important. At least you can walk away saying, maybe I thought I had 54 and he gave me 52, but at least I got first place or whatever. So it's tough, James. I mean, another thing just to add on before I turn over to you is Darren Breeden also talked to me a little bit about, I noticed that he had a lasagna like metal tin, like what you get at the dollar store. He said a bunch of the eaters went to Dollar Tree to get them.
Okay.
Those were eater supplied, from what I can tell, eater supplied trays to catch the niblets in them as much as possible to help with the judging, whereas normally they kind of just look at what's on the floor and so on. But it's with what Crazy Legs says, the typewriter, which is kind of a fast but traditional way to eat the corn, versus the stripper or the rake, depending on which way you go, as Crazy Legs said. I don't know which is which, but when you strip it off, it tends to fly versus. So, I mean, how do you feel about such controversy in judging? This is something we hear, I would say, about every year.
Like, with no disrespect to you and Crazy Legs, there's only so much you could say about debris in a contest. I'm not sure I have anything to add to it. I don't have any hot corn takes, but you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Like, we didn't. No one's come up with a weight. Like, this is another one. Just weigh it, and then call that a thing until everyone decides to weigh it or stop doing debris. Like, it's just gonna keep happening. I do feel bad for CL because Lord knows he can eat them, but weigh them. That's what we've said to a lot of them. Weigh them.
I mean, that's what we always say with wings for something like wing bowl and so on. It really,
anything with something that's left over, a cob, a wing. Just weigh it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to catch that stuff. And it's interesting that as long running a contest as this is, that they still go on. Eaters still show up. Money is still given away.
Right.
And, do what you can do. But
maybe it's the controversy that actually keeps it going.
The controversy creates the cash, I would say.
I think people love the drama. There are a bunch of messy eaters out there who love both the messy drama and the messy eating. And that's why people keep showing up.
Before we move on, I do want to give a shout out to Darian Thomas, who's someone who we've definitely mentioned by name on the show, but I have never personally looked into him too closely. And I realized, he snuck up. He is ranked number 36 in the world,
which according to Major
League Eating. He placed 4th in the contest, beating out Juan Niave, Crazy Legs Conti, Badlands Booker. He rose to prominence by winning the amateur smokes poutine eating championship.
Okay.
You always have an amateur.
I knew this guy had to be Canadian.
He is Canadian.
No one in America's name is Darian Thomas.
He did pretty well in cheese curds. He was actually, I'm pretty sure, eating at Pork Roll the year that we were there.
Pork roll.
So totally like flew under the radar. So I reached out to him because we love new blood on the show.
Sure.
We love when new eaters are coming in, especially someone like Darian, who seems to be really kind of pushing. Turns out he's 19 years old, according to MLE.com.
But his mind is older.
But we also know how ages on MLE.com, the validity of that normally works from
That's
like
100%
episode
a
2.
fact. That's 100% a fact.
But I asked
Crazy
him
Legs is actually 14. Badlands is 110.
if you look on MLE.com. But I asked Darian about his future, and he said, don't worry, this is just the beginning for me. Several contests lined up for May and June, and he is planning on making it to the 4th of July this year, where he will have a performance no one, will forget.
Oof.
So the kid's in on the jokes and the puns.
He gets it.
So he gets the world of Major League Eating. I don't know if I showed any of these, but the National Sweet Corn Eating Championship, a family-friendly contest that promotes agriculture. So we'll see you next year for number 20.
Which is going to be a momentous occasion.
Momentous occasion indeed.